In the days when the world was still young and the breath of dawn carried the voices of unseen spirits, there was a village named Ekanora. The people of Ekanora lived in a valley where the earth was red like powdered fire, and the hills stood around them like old guardians. The villagers were farmers, hunters, weavers, and keepers of law. Their lives were simple, but their hearts were full. Yet, not far beyond the hills stood the forest of whispering darkness, a place where even the wind walked lightly. The elders said creatures older than memory lived in that forest. Some said they could swallow courage. Others said they could twist truth into lies so sharp they cut the heart. Now, the bravest hunter in Ekanora was a young man named Onai. He was not the strongest or the tallest, but he had a quick mind and a heart that beat like a steady drum. People respected Onai because he spoke little, listened well, and always kept his word. One morning, as the sun rose like molten gold, trouble arrived at Ekanora's gates. The villagers heard a strange sound, half roar, half cry. When they rushed to the edge of the fields, they found a lion lying on the ground. But this was no ordinary lion. His fur was bright as sunrise, and around his head shone a mane so magnificent it seemed carved from sunlight. Yet, the lion's eyes were clouded with fear. Onai stepped forward cautiously. "Great one," he said gently, "what brings you to our village?" The lion lifted his head. "I am Achaea, spirit lion of the eastern mountains. Last night, in the forest of whispering darkness, something stole my shadow." The villagers gasped. A lion without a shadow was a creature unbalanced, a being whose power had been cracked open. No wonder the mighty Achaea trembled. Onai knelt beside him. "How can a shadow be stolen?" Achaea shuddered. "I was hunting. I felt a cold breeze. Then a crawling mist shaped like a woman approached me. Her eyes were mirrors that showed only lies. Before I could roar, she reached out and tore away my shadow as though it were a cloth. Without it, my strength drains. I came seeking help." The elders whispered among themselves. The creature Achaea described was known only in stories. Ogwuma, the weaver of fear, a being who fed on the shadows of powerful spirits and turned them into illusions that haunted the world. Onai felt a pull inside his chest. Something deep told him he must go into the whispering darkness to retrieve the lion's shadow. But the elders shook their heads. "It is too dangerous," said Elder Meroa. "No human enters that forest and returns unchanged." Achaea groaned. "If my shadow is not recovered by the next moonrise, I will fade into dust." The villagers shifted uncomfortably. No one wanted the lion's fate on their conscience, yet fear weighed heavily upon them. At last, Onai stood. "I will go." A murmur swept through the crowd. Onai's mother pressed a trembling hand to her chest. "Child, that forest twists the mind. You cannot fight what you cannot see." Onai took his bow, his knife, and a small pouch of dried leaves from his late father, leaves said to clear the mind of illusions. "I do not go to fight," he said. "I go to find the truth." With Achaea too weak to follow, Onai entered the forest alone. The whispering darkness swallowed him immediately. The towering trees blocked the sky, and the air was thick as smoke. The ground seemed alive, shifting beneath his feet. Strange whispers curled around him like invisible fingers. Turn back, all roads end in fear." Onai kept walking. As he moved deeper into the forest, he heard rustling above. Suddenly, a monkey dropped from a branch, its eyes bright with mischief. "Human, what do you seek in this cursed place?" the monkey asked, scratching its belly. Onai had been taught that animals in enchanted forests could speak if they wished, and that every word carried meaning. "I seek a lion's shadow," he said calmly. "It was stolen." The monkey whistled. "Ogwuma took it. But shadows do not remain where they fall. They are moved, hidden, fed until they grow monstrous." The monkey darted ahead. "Come, follow me." Onai hesitated. Was this creature a guide or a trickster? But he remembered his father's words. Fear makes bad companions. So he followed. The monkey led him to a river black as night. The water moved strangely, swirling but soundless. "This is the river of forgotten footsteps," the monkey said. "The stolen shadow lies somewhere beyond it." Onai knelt by the river. He dipped his fingers into the water. Images flashed, his childhood, his mother's face, his father's last smile. The river wanted to drown him in memories. The monkey's voice echoed faintly, "Walk through with a clear mind, or the river will take your name." Onai chewed the dried leaves from his pouch. Their bitter taste sharpened his senses. He stepped into the water. Immediately, hundreds of illusions rose from the river, shadows shaped like fears he had buried long ago. A snarling hyena made of smoke lunged for him. Waves formed into faces crying for help. He felt his strength draining. But Onai remembered why he had come. "Truth stands," he whispered. And the illusions shattered like broken mirrors. He crossed safely. On the other side, the monkey was gone. Only silence remained. Onai walked until he reached a large clearing. And there, seated on a throne of twisted roots, was Ogwuma. She was tall and thin, draped in a cloak of moving shadows. Her eyes were silver mirrors that reflected Onai back at himself, but twisted, small, afraid, trembling. "So," Ogwuma purred, "a mortal comes to reclaim what is lost." Onai felt her words slithering around his mind like vines. But he stood firm. "You stole a lion's shadow. Return it." Ogwuma laughed, and the sound made the air tremble. "Shadows are stories," she said. "And I do not return stories." She pointed to a dark bundle beside her throne. Onai recognized the shape. It was Achaea's shadow, but larger, pulsing like something alive. "It is weak," Ogwuma whispered. "Soon it will obey me." Onai stepped forward, but Ogwuma lifted a finger. Touch it, and your heart will forget courage. The darkness around her began to swirl. It took shapes, giant serpents, burning eyes, crumbling mountains. His deepest fears stepped into the clearing like living creatures. Onai trembled. His legs felt heavy. His breath thinned. What are you without fear? Ogwuma asked. Nothing. Let me show you who you truly are. She raised a hand, and one illusion stepped forward, an image of Onai himself, but broken, empty, lost. For a moment, Onai felt himself falling inward. Then he heard a roar. A faint one, but familiar. Archaeus roar, echoing in memory. That sound snapped something awake inside him, not force, not anger, but clarity. I see your trick, Onai said slowly. You feed on fear. You twist truth into lies. But fear lives only if I carry it. Ogwuma snarled as the illusions flickered. Onai continued, his voice steady. Fear says I am small. Truth says I am enough. Fear shows shadows. Truth shows light. He took one step forward. The illusions crumbled into dust. He took another step. Ogwuma stepped back, hissing as if burned. You cannot win, she shrieked. I am darkness. And even darkness, Onai said, cannot resist someone who walks with a clear heart. With that, he reached for the pulsating shadow. It jerked violently, trying to envelop him, but he clutched it firmly, as though holding the tail of a frightened animal. Ogwuma screamed as the forest trembled. The shadow shrank instantly, settling into the shape of a lion lying at rest. Onai turned and left the clearing. Ogwuma's cries faded behind him like dying wind. At sunrise, Onai stumbled out of the forest, bruised but unbroken. The villagers ran to him as he carried the folded shadow like a dark mantle. Archaea rose weakly. When Onai touched the shadow to the lion's body, it merged with a flash of golden light. Archaea roared, strong, thunderous, magnificent. His manner glowed again. You have done what even spirits fear to attempt, Archaea said. How did you defeat the Weaver of Fear? Onai smiled faintly. I did not defeat her. I defeated the fear she tried to plant in me. The villagers celebrated for 7 days. Songs were composed about Onai, and storytellers carried his tale to distant lands. But Onai stayed humble. He knew the journey had changed him. As for Archaea, he promised to protect Ekenora forever. And whenever danger neared the valley, villagers swore they could see a golden lion watching from the hills, his shadow long and strong beneath him. And in the forest of whispering darkness, Ogwuma licked her wounds, still whispering, still weaving, but wary now of mortals who walk with truth in their hearts. Because she had learned something that day. A clear heart is the only light darkness cannot swallow.